Hello and welcome to the Real Talk Show, proudly brought to you by ZYP. Today, the 18th of August in 2023. We're back with yet another conversation that is quite interesting. And remember that what we do on the Real Talk Show is having the conversations that are extremely important, that need to be had by the young people. So, what we do is having conversations held by young people for the young people. A warm welcome to you. My name is Iga Kapambwe, and I'm your host yet again, joined by our very amazing guests. Today we are quite equal, two males and two females. Shadrick Chansa is our sign language interpreter for today, and we also have Inge Musonda, who happens to be an adolescent and young persons coordinator. Also joined by Natasha Mwila, who happens to be the advocacy officer at NZP Plus. And so I'm quite excited to be sitting with them today, having an important conversation. And before we get right into the topic, allow me to just say, good afternoon and pass regards to our guests for the day. Good afternoon, Inge, and how are you?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm okay. My name is Inge Lwendom Sonda from Mopani Copper Mines. I'm a clinician there and also adolescent and young people coordinator. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And we also have Natasha. Good afternoon, Natasha.
Hello, Inge and Shadrik as well, and to everyone that's watching. My name is Natasha Mwila. I am from the Network of Zambian People Living with HIV. I'm the Advocacy and Information Officer there. And I'm also the current AVAC Fellow. And thanks for having me too.
All right, thank you so much. So there you have it. And our conversation continues today, ladies and gentlemen. And we're quite excited to be having this conversation because just within this week, Zambia joined, a lot of other partners that were celebrating HTCT Day, which happened on the 15th of August. And we saw ZYP partner ZYP happened to participate in that particular conversation, and we added our efforts in what was happening on the 15th of August. And we found it very imperative for us to have this conversation today, look into that particular day and look at some of the initiatives that are revolving around the topic that we had on HTCT Day. And so if you check quite carefully, our topic for the day is understanding the importance of HIV testing, counseling, treatment, and prevention, particularly what we are getting into. And without further ado, allow me to firstly, inquire what is meant by HIV testing, what is meant by treatment and prevention day. I'd like to, start with Natasha. Maybe you may also take the opportunity to just tell us how this particular day came about.
Thanks for that, Iga. So, as you mentioned earlier, on the 15th of August, just not so long ago, we had HTCT Day. So HTCT is short for HIV Testing, Counseling, and Treatment Day. So this came about somewhere in 2016. And it came about because, it was intended to raise awareness for HIV testing, HIV prevention, and treatment. So back then, somewhere in 2016, the HIV testing rate was around 32%. And since its commemoration, it's gone up to about 62%. So, with this day comes with a lot of activities, a lot of partners, a lot of organizations, a lot of key stakeholders come together and, provide services and share information. And it's sort of like a campaign, let me say, because it's just not on the actual day. So there has been activities happening days before, weeks before the actual day of the 15th, where awareness raising is done in the communities, or sharing of information on social media, through mass media, on radios, in newspapers. So this is just really cardinal because it's meant for people to have more information where they can get tested, why they need to get tested, because it's very important for one to know their HIV status. It is a gateway for one to either be linked to treatment and care and support, or to prevention. So if you don't get tested, then you can't access HIV prevention methods such as PrEP, or PAPE. And also, if you don't get tested, then you will, or you're positive, there's no way to know, whether to be put on treatment or not. So it is a very, very important day that is commemorated every other year to raise awareness on HIV testing.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Just a quick one to our online audience. Please feel free to, comment, share this post to make sure that your friends and family also get to be a part of this particular important conversation. Because what we want to do is make sure that everybody is tagged along and they're part of the conversation. So, this year's HTC Day was happening with the theme that stated "Young people make a difference. Test for HIV." So I want to shift to Inge and just ask what this theme meant to her. What do you make of the theme that we had this year in 2023?
Thank you, Iga. The 2023 theme meant a lot to me and many others because on the copper belt, not only on the copper belt, but everywhere, young people are getting infected more and more. And if you look at the numbers, Kitwa was leading in new infections in adolescents and young people. So it opened many people's eyes to have themselves who are young tested, and we had a good turnout in adolescents and young people coming through to get tested on this day. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Saying that you are an adolescents and young people, you know, coordinator. Why is it important for young people specifically and adolescents to participate in activities that are conducted on a day such as the one we had on the 15th of August, which is HTCT Day?
Okay. For young people, adolescent stage is a quite sensitive stage, and what is um, peer-to-peer education is very key on that stage. So we encourage young people to participate on days like these to enable their friends to join in with all the activities that are happening. So
Mhm,
peer pressure. So like if you want to counteract peer pressure, use a peer to engage their peers to get tested.
mhm.
Yeah. So we had a
All
lot of
right, Natasha, do you?
adolescents and young
Uh-huh.
coming in to do the testing and everything because their friends had told them the importance
Mhm.
of doing so. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Natasha. Do you have anything to add on to what Inge has said?
Yeah, of course. And just as what Inge has mentioned, when you look at the statistics, the population that is at most risk and also very vulnerable are adolescents and young people, who attribute to almost 50%, almost, so around 42 maybe percent of new
Mhm,
HIV infections. So it is very, very important that, even just HIV testing itself, and this day in particular, is focused on young people, because I was really happy with the theme, that says, young people should test for HIV, because it is stems from that, where, okay, let's engage young people, let young people be part of this, let the young people spearhead this, so that they own it, because there's this saying, nothing about us without us, right? So I mean, if we want to get
Mhm.
a lot of new statistics on what's happening around young people, we need to engage young people. And that's what happened on this particular day. There were a lot of young people that marched. The event happened at Unza, which was just a very great location for this event to happen. So there's a lot of students that came through to the event. That is in Lusaka, by the way. So HTCT Day in Lusaka happened from the University of Zambia, Gomalex. And we had a lot of students come through to access all these services to test for HIV, because they're the ones that are at most risk. And you have, just as Inga said, you have young people who are also, providing these services. Young people were matching. We had a lot of young people from colleges and universities and nursing schools who were part of this event. So it didn't seem as though it's an event driven by any other age group, but really mostly for young people. And it was really a fun activity. It was really taken by the young people, and it was really more focused on the young people, and services were provided to young people. So it was really centered around young people, which was a great event.
Nice, interesting. I think my key takeaway from what you have said is that there can be nothing for us without us, nothing
Without
about
us.
us without us. I think that remains a very, very key, important aspect of the idea that young people ought to understand the importance of testing for HIV, getting counseling, getting treatment, and above all, preventing the spread of HIV. I think the HTCT day prevented such a good opportunity for us to even, place our mindsets, place our behavior, our attitude in a way that is favoring all of these things, in a way that is, uh, uh, you know, upholding prevention and also upholding counseling and also creating an environment that allows for young people to freely access services such as HIV testing, HIV counseling. Now, I think at the end of the day, what will always influence some of these things, Natasha and Inge, is that there will always have to be a behavioral aspect, amongst young people. There will always be attitude amongst young people, so, and that's basically that's I feel, for me, I personally feel that that's the key. Once attitude and behavior is shaped in a way that young people are keenly embracing all of the said things, then we say we are making very positive strides. I think Natasha spoke of statistics and whatnot, of how a majority of the Zambian population is young people. Now, uh, especially you, Inge, I'll get to Natasha as well. I'd like to get her view as well. So starting with you, Inge, based on your experience, especially, what do you think is the attitude most young people and adolescents have when it comes to HIV related issues? Of course, basing this question on your experience as an adolescent and young person's coordinator.
Okay, like from what I see in the community around and the adolescents I work with, they
Mhm.
feel they are young, and getting tested is not of that importance because they're young. I'm young. I won't get tested. I'm not. I'm okay. I'm very fine. And also, they have that behavior of looking at someone who's young and are getting tested to say that they're engaging in a lot of activities, sexual activities and stuff like that. So it really is an eye opener on my side and on everyone who's dealing with adolescents to look into that because it really shuns them from getting the services that they need to get. They look at their friends to say, no, Bala and Bonashan, how are they going to look at me? And if I go get tested and get condoms and get prevention and stuff, they'll think I'm a prostitute or I sleep around. So that's the attitude, and that's the message we should give to them that everyone should get tested. Everyone is affected. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Inge, for that answer. I think I've picked up the fact that uh, there's still the idea of stigma amongst ourselves as young people. We stigmatize each other as young people whenever we hear the topic of HIV coming up, forgetting that sometimes what we may be doing is merely preventing, and also the fact that HIV does not in any way mean disability. There's a way for people. There's services that are available for them, and we ought to embrace each other, as you are saying. So, Natasha, I'd like to pose the same question to you.
Yeah, I'll just add on to what Inge has said. So,
Mhm,
personally, I feel young people have this low perception of acquiring HIV. Just like she said,
mhm.
I'm a young person, so I can't test. So usually young people feel, I'm a young person,
Or
I only
maybe,
have
or
maybe
maybe it's restricted to a certain age group.
no, I mean, I guess it's as long as one is indulging in sexual activities, unprotected sexual activities, one is susceptible to getting HIV. There's no two ways about it, you know. And
Mhm,
so if we're talking of at this point, let's not talk about maybe mother to child transmission. Let's maybe focus more on having to test at an age where you are engaging, you're having unprotected sex, you're sexually active, but then most young
mhm,
people feel I can test for HIV because there's no way I can get HIV yet. This is a young person who has a boyfriend or who has a girlfriend, and they're indulging in sexual activities, unsafe sexual activities. So then from that, it comes now, I'm okay. I'm faithful to my partner. I can't get HIV. There's that low perception, but then not having to understand that there's a lot of other dynamics. So you have a partner, but then do you know your partner's status? Because there are also
mhm,
individuals that are born with HIV, right? So if you don't know your partner's status, also you don't know their behavior as well. We're talking about behavior, right? They may have two or more or multiple sexual partners. So you may be loyal, but then maybe your partner is not. So, but then it comes from that why most young people feel I don't think I can test for HIV. I can't get it. And also coming from a point of thinking that people that only get HIV are the ones that are promiscuous, you know? So that is, and then when you look at the lifestyle right now, we're talking about behavior. The lifestyle right now with many young people is different as compared to back in the day. You find that a young person or one individual is having two or three boyfriends, two or three, four boyfriends, or two or three, four girlfriends, right? And especially even in university setups in our communities, these transactional sexual partners that people have, it makes you more vulnerable and susceptible to HIV. So I think it's that low perception and not understanding the dynamics of just what Inga said, to say if one is not infected, then one is affected one way or the other. Anyone can get HIV. But then the only way you can remain negative, or if you test positive and should know whether to put yourself on treatment or not, is when you test. But there's really that rigidness, and it comes from stigma and discrimination. It comes from low perception. It comes from even the society and the culture that we have, back then, HIV had this death sentence, but that's not the case. But then that has carried on without people not really understanding that even when one tests positive and they're put on treatment, they're as healthy as any other person. There's you equals you now. If you test negative, there's PrEP, there's PEP, there's all these other services that one can access just so they remain healthy. So I think there's really need for behavioral change. But again, behavioral change is something that is really, really hard to deal with, because that has been happening. A lot of programs by key stakeholders and partners are implementing ways or strategies to, change behaviors. But it's a long shot, but we start from somewhere. And it's by testing for HIV.
All right, thank you so much. I think one of the key components of what you have both talked about is that where we are going, there's definitely need for more knowledge on some of these topics particularly. But before we get to that, allow me to just read our comment on Facebook coming from Gracious Mundi Muzaza, who's saying, for individuals, it allows people to make informed choices about their future practices and behaviors. It enhances their ability to reduce their risk of acquiring or transmitting the infection to others. It helps them cope with their HIV zero status, and it is a gateway to prevention, care, treatment, and support. Thank you so much, Gracious. Please do share this post so that we also see other comments from family and friends. Victoria Nakanyika is saying, I agree with Inge. Following posts about HTCT Day, I saw comments from young people who continue to prove to be ignorant and were commenting saying, are you giving us money when we come to test? But we all know if you're not infected, you are affected. So I encourage young people to take charge of their health because we are the future of the next generation. Thank you so much, Victoria, for that particular comment. Hope Malambo is saying young people are currently the main drivers of HIV, hence the need for us to take the lead in such services. If we are to address HIV, we as young people need to step up and foster an attitude of responsibility around our sexual reproductive health. The first step to foster this positive attitude would be to take an HIV test. Take the HIV test, know your status. I love those hashtags. Thank you so much, Hope Malambo, for coming in. Uh, Mark Sikonda Hebrews is saying age of consent when it comes to HIV testing has really killed us as young people. Uh, Thank you so much. What do you think ought to be done? I think that's a very very good question that has come from Mark. Quite an interesting comment. Of course, all of the comments that have come through are very 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 interesting. I'd like to pay particular attention to Mark's question. Uh, he's talking about the age of consent. What do you think would be the solution before we get to start wrapping up the show? Because I have quite a number of questions before we close. What could be the solution, particularly? Okay, what do you think?
Okay. Is that Mark? Mark is actually right because that's one thing that puts us off when it comes to testing. When we find someone young, we need their parents to consent. And they won't go there to tell them, no, I need to get tested for HIV because I've been promiscuous or I've been having sex. So they end up going away, and that's a really challenging thing that we're facing as clinicians and everyone in the clinics doing their services. So I wouldn't really know, but we can advocate for the government to maybe reduce the age of consent a bit because people are indulging as early as 12, as early as 10. And the consented age is 16, and it's quite bigger than than the people we get. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's this one is it's quite a challenging topic when it comes to consent because the government is saying no, don't do it, and you know when policies are put up and or but we can continue with the advocacy on that one. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Natasha. Seeing that you're an advocacy officer, that means that you probably delve into whatever you are invested in and what you do. You read, you acquire knowledge, right? That's what makes you an advocacy officer because you have this skill, you have this knowledge, and particularly where we are going, if we are going to also see a shift in how people see some of these issues such as HIV counseling, testing, and whatnot, we definitely need people to acquire as much knowledge as possible concerning some of these topics. So, how is it like? What do you think uh, we as young people need to do in terms of the knowledge that we have? Because normally you find that we are very, very ignorant. How can we see a shift in the attitude that we have towards acquiring knowledge around the issues we are discussing today: HIV counseling, testing, and prevention?
Yeah, thanks for that, Iga. So right now, with the internet, with AI, with there's so much technology right now, and information is just at the tip of our fingers. You find that you go on TikTok, you go on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook or Instagram. There's information around HIV, but I think there's this thing called sort of like selective, selecting the kind of information that we acquire. You find a lot of young people
Mm-hmm.
have so much information on the latest celebrities, on the latest fashion, on the latest cars, all of those things. But then there's certain things that really do matter, such as health, even just the economy. But then you have tried to have a conversation with a young person on matters that really, really matter, like on matters that are issues of concern. And you find a lot of young people lack that information, and they're ignorant about that because they're selective in what kind of information they want to get. So I think for me, it's just really having to urge a lot of young people that may be listening, and all of us that work with young people, to encourage them, to really look into issues that they are affected by, because like I said, information is just at the tip of the fingers. When you go to when you go to Facebook, even Facebook, you can Google anything and you'll find information around that. Just now, ZYP, this particular talk show and session that happens every Friday, shares a lot of information that young people can, really benefit from. When you go to Google, you just get info: what is PrEP, what is PEP, how do I test for HIV, all of those things. Information is there. So it's really having to take that keen interest about your health. I do have a sexual partner. How do I take care of myself? Even when you go on TikTok, you find someone talking about these issues. Take keen interest in just knowing and really align your lifestyle to what is being discussed. We've talked about, everyone is affected. But when was the last time you tested for HIV, if at all you've ever tested, but yet you've had unprotected sex? So it's really making that decision as a young person, using the information that you get to make informed decisions. So, yes, we are ignorant as young people, but I think it's a choice that we make to remain ignorant because information is everywhere. So my request to many young people is that we really, really need to take charge. As Natasha, is it Nakanika said in the comment, to say we are the future generation. It's us to really make what we want out of our lives. So if one wants to remain, negative, you need to take a step into testing. Test for HIV to remain negative. If you test positive, that's not the end of the world. There are also services that are being, given and provided to for someone who's positive. So information is there. Seek that information, sort out that information, so that you can use that information to make great decisions.
All right. Thank you so much, Natasha, for that particular recommendation that you brought forward. I would like to turn to Inge and just ask what's what are your recommendations around the attitudes of us, as around the attitudes of your peers when it comes to knowing their HIV status? What can we do better?
Um, what we can do better, to add on what Natasha said, maybe we need to open up. It starts from home. We need to open up with our parents or our guardians, talk to them, create that relationship that will enable you not fear. Even when seeking consent to get tested, you are freely asking them, so that they also know that this person is aware of what is going around and what is happening. And also join safe spaces. We have youth friendly spaces in different clinics. You can join in and learn something from your friends and the providers there at the facilities. You can read, you can internet and everything that Natasha said. Yeah. So it's all about self interest and just knowing what is best. Get tested.
I hear you. Not to cut you short, what role do you think social institutions that, because one of the greatest things is that we have social institutions that basically condition us in a way, institutions such as churches, schools, and other recreational facilities that may be available. So, what role do the key players, especially people like the clergymen, traditional leaders, what role do they have to play in equipping young people with the necessary skills and attitude towards HIV counseling, testing, treatment, and prevention? Even because I, I
Okay,
I like
so
the fact that you talked about the homes.
mhm. So okay, it's actually a circle. So from what I've seen, we have different places like churches, schools, and all where we go to do the peer education and sensitization. So those people have a big role because they are the ones who have founded these youths. So when we impact knowledge on them or in them, they should later on give it to the children. We have churches allowing us to sensitize. We have what is the DEC guys, Drug Enforcement Commission. We have also the security services helping us sensitize. So really, it's a chain of different departments coming together to work towards one goal, achieving one goal. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Inge, for that particular comment. And I think I would like to just say that at the end of the day, our attitude is very important. And seeing that they are very, these social institutions, charity begins at home firstly. This has to be taught in homes, and some of the social institutions that play a very key role in shaping how we see things, in shaping our perception, in shaping what we believe, in shaping our values. These are the institutions that need to play a very key role in making sure that this information is circulated, this information is taken as the gospel truth. Because if we are going to work towards effective HIV treatment, HIV counseling, and testing, and also prevention, we need everybody on board. Everybody needs to come to the party and play a role. Now, just on Sunday, we made a post on the ZYP Facebook page. Natasha and Inge Shadrick, I'm going to tell you about this too. So we made a post requesting young people to participate, and Rebecca Mulenga happened to be the winner for that particular post that was shared because we were giving out a little something. So please tell young people in your circle to always be a part of our conversations on Facebook, on the Facebook page. We have goodies from time to time available, and it is very important that we always engage. So always remember to share, like the page. If you're watching us, wherever you're watching us from, always remember that ZYB always has something to offer. So do stay updated. This has been an interesting conversation with both of you. I really appreciate. And on behalf of ZYP and the entire team that has been putting this together, I'd like to appreciate you for giving us the opportunity to sit with you and discuss this important conversation. Um, but this is where we get to wrap it up. As interesting as it has been, this is where we get to wrap it up, and we hope that we can have you again on one of the shows that are coming ahead, because we are here to stay. The Real Talk Show is here to stay, so we are hoping that you can come back and be a part of a conversation another time. So this is why we wrap it up. My name is Iga Kapambwe. I've been your host for the day. Thank you, Natasha Mwila. Thank you, Inge Musonda. And our sign language interpreter has been Shadrick Chansa. Good afternoon and have a lovely day.
Thank you.